everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to do newsletter swaps. Also, just a little disclaimer, my computer just started making a really annoying sound, so hopefully that's not too loud and you can't hear it, but I'm assuming it's not going to be a problem, but sorry if it is. So, before I get started on showing you how to set up newsletter swaps, which is the main focus of today's video, I want to talk to you about what a newsletter swap is and why you should do them. So, if you're not familiar, a newsletter swap for authors is when you have your mailing list of people that you send emails to, and someone else has their mailing list of people they send emails to. Hang on, my cats might be fighting. Be nice. Oh, okay. You want out? She wants out. All right, sorry about that. So, newsletter swaps are when you agree to share someone's book with your newsletter and they share your book with their newsletter. You're swapping newsletters. And now my other cat wants out, so 1 second. So the purpose of this, it's kind of self-explanatory. Obviously, if someone is advertising one of your books to their audience and you're advertising their book to your audience, then you're both getting a benefit of more people seeing that your book exists and hopefully deciding to check it out or buy it or read it for free or whatever the situation is. So that's what a newsletter swap is. And today I want to show you how I set up my newsletter swaps, how I organize them, and how I actually put them into an email, because I've been making some of these videos I guess I've only put one out so far, but I've had some ideas recently of videos I'd like to make about kind of more of the basics of book publishing and marketing for people who are overwhelmed by the idea of all these new things that they have to learn, because I've just realized that there are so many things that I learned years ago and have been learning for a long time that I know how to do now, and now it's kind of second nature. But at the time when I first learned how to do these things, it felt really overwhelming, and like there were so many new things all the time that I had to figure out how to do. And there were a lot of like terms that people were using, like newsletter swaps or NL swaps, that I was like, what does that mean? Like, why do people just talk in this language of like author stuff, that as if everybody just knows what these things mean and how to do them, but nobody really talks about how to do it. Not nobody, obviously there's plenty of other people doing content like this, but I don't know, I just felt like sharing some of my knowledge when it comes to these foundational basics of publishing and marketing. So today I'm going to walk you through setting up newsletter swaps, like actually finding authors to swap with you, and how you organize your data in like a spreadsheet, and then how to actually like make the email and send it and all of that. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to Facebook, because Facebook is where I get pretty much all of my swaps from. So that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do. So the first thing you want to do when you're getting into the world of doing newsletter swaps is to go to Facebook, click on groups, and click right here, search groups, and type in newsletter swaps. And this is going to show you a bunch of different groups for newsletter swaps. Now, I really highly recommend that you stick to swapping with other authors who are in the same genre as you. There might not be specific groups for that genre, like this one is for romance authors. There might not be one for your genre, but there are some groups like this that says Pelican Newsletter Swaps, all genres welcome. That's a good group to join, but make sure that when you are posting asking for swaps that you only exchange swaps with people who are in your same genre. And the reason for that is if another author is going to share your book with their audience, you want to make sure that their audience is people who like the kind of book that you write. And the same works for them too. If you're going to share their book with your audience, they want to make sure that your audience is going to like their book too. So it's mutually beneficial that you make sure that you guys are both in the same genre. Because if you write completely different things and you do a swap, then that's probably not going to benefit either of you really, because their people are not going to click on your link and your people are not going to click on their link because they're just not interested. They're not the same audience. So make sure that you swap with people who are in your same genre. So when you go to Facebook, you just join as many groups as you can or as many groups as you'd like to for newsletter swaps. I will say a lot of these swaps, as you can see as you're scrolling through, are for romance. I am a romance author, so that's beneficial to me. But I mean, if you're not, then maybe there are other places better than Facebook for doing swaps. But this is how I do them, so this is how I'm showing you how to do them. So hopefully you can find some Facebook groups that will work for you. Another thing you want to try typing in over here is, instead of newsletter swaps, is just NL swaps, because some groups like this say NL swap, historical romance NL swaps, and those aren't going to show up if you type in newsletter. So that's another thing to type in. Find some groups that work with your genre or that are all genres welcome and join them. And once you do that, that's the first step. So obviously you want to do that. You know, it's probably going to take a couple days for these groups to accept you. But once you are a member of some newsletter swap groups, when I sit down to set up my newsletter swaps, this is the first thing I do. I come to Facebook, I click on groups, and this is from my Office Memes group. You'll get to see some of my other interests as I'm scrolling through my groups I've joined. I go down here to groups you've joined, I click see all, and these three right here are pending. So these are groups I'm trying to join, but they haven't accepted me yet. I mean, this one says I requested it a year ago, so I'm guessing whoever's running that group isn't doing it anymore because that was a long time ago. Anyway, but the groups that I have joined are down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm just going to look at anything that says it's for newsletter swaps. And I'm going to open that in a new tab. So this one. All right, so now that I have all of my tabs open, these are all of my newsletter swap groups. The next thing you're going to do is read the rules. Even if you have read the rules before of these groups, I always like to refresh my memory on the rules of all these groups as I'm posting on them, just to make sure that I don't forget. If some groups are more general and they don't really have a lot of rules, others are more specific, like we will not approve your post unless you include these specific pieces of information, which most of the time is pretty much this. You want to include your genre, how many newsletter subscribers you have, the dates that you have available to swap or that you want people to swap with you. That's pretty much those are the main things that groups want you to have included. So if you include all of those things, most likely all of these groups are going to be fine with your post, but I still like to go through and just look at the rules really quick. I mean, this one just says, this is a group for promotion and newsletter swaps, okay? So some people don't really have specific rules, but other ones, like one of these, I don't remember which one it was, but one of these has like more specific rules. This one right here is Christian author newsletter swaps. I am a part of this group because I do sometimes write Christian romance. But right now, today, the book that I'm wanting to get swaps for is not Christian romance. So I'm going to go ahead and close that tab because my book does not apply to that category. So I shouldn't be posting it in that group. So once you've gone through and you've refreshed your memory on all the rules and made sure you know exactly what they want you to include in your post, you're going to go to the first group. You're going to make a post. Here we go. Write something. And you're going to say something along the lines of, hey, I'm looking for newsletter swaps for a reader magnet. I'm going to specify a free reader magnet. The genre is YA sweet romance. YA contemporary sweet romance. I only write / share closed door or clean contemporary romance. So that's important to specify, what your genre is, and if you have any specifications on what you are or are not willing to share. I do not share spicy romance to my newsletter because many reasons, but one is because my audience doesn't like that kind of content. So I specify my story that I'd like you to share is young adult romance. I only share closed door or clean contemporary romance. So I don't do historical, and I don't do spicy, and I don't do anything outside of the realm of romance. Then I'm gonna say I have around 500 newsletter subs, which I will show you later how you find out how many newsletter subscribers you have. And if you are brand new to this and you don't have any newsletter subscribers, that is totally okay. I was really stressed about trying to get newsletter swaps when I first started because I was like, how can I swap with someone when I don't have any subscribers yet? I can't do that, really, right? Like, how am I going to share their stuff with people when I don't have any people to share it with? But if you are brand new and you're just starting out, it's totally fine to come on to these groups and just be honest and say, I am brand new to this. I have this book that I'd like advertised, or I have this free story I'd like to give away in exchange for newsletter subscribers, but I don't really have any ability to reciprocate at this point in time. And you will be surprised how amazing and supportive the writing community is, and that people will totally help you out and share your story even if you don't have anything to give them in return. And you can also always try to reciprocate to those people later on once you do have something to offer. Or if you have something to offer other than a newsletter swap, you can do that too. When I first started out, I didn't have a newsletter yet, but I did have a Facebook group with over like 600 members. So I told people, I'd like to do newsletter swaps, or I'd like you to share my story in your newsletter, and I don't have any subs yet, but I will share your story in my group, which has over 600 members. But honestly, most people who said that they would swap with me when I was starting out, they didn't even really care if I shared their thing with my group. They just said, oh, it's fine, don't worry about it. I'll just share your story with my audience free of charge, no strings attached. And one of the reasons why people are so willing to do this, other than just being nice and helpful, which a lot of people in the writing community are, is that it's nice to have things to share with your newsletter. Authors who have a newsletter, we're always trying to think of things to talk about with our audience, and maybe like free things to give them, to offer them, so that they get something nice for signing up for our newsletter. So if every week I have a few different new book releases to show to my audience and say, hey, here are some books you might be interested in, Or I have a free story from somebody that, is maybe they don't have any subscribers yet, but I can share their free story with my subscribers. That's benefiting me too, because it's giving me content that I can offer to my newsletter subscribers that they will enjoy. So it's not totally, you know, imbalanced if someone shares your story and you don't share theirs in return. They still get a little bit out of it just from having something nice to give to their audience. Okay, so I've said my genre, I've said that it's a reader magnet. Some people don't like to share reader magnets, so I'm specifying that instead of having them share a book for me this time. I wanted to get some more subscribers on my newsletter list, so I'm trying to have people share my reader magnet, which is a free story that people can get if they sign up for my newsletter, which you can get too if you look down below in the description if you're interested. So I said it's a reader magnet. YA contemporary sweet romance. I said how many subscribers I have. And then I usually like to put down the dates I have available to share. So I put out newsletters every Monday. So I can look right here and see, oh gosh, I don't use this computer very much. There we go, there's my calendar. So I can look right here and see all of the dates for Monday. Tomorrow's newsletter I already have going out, and I think the 22nd is also booked. But I can say I have May 29th, and I share three swaps, 3 books for every newsletter I send out. So May 29th, I have 3 spots open, I think. I'll double check that in a second. Okay, I just looked at the calendar again and realized that I was reading April's dates instead of May. So these are the dates that I have available, May 20th, 27th, and you don't need to see that, but I put down the dates that I have available to swap. And then as I get swaps in, if May 20th fills up, then I will edit this post and I will make this say 2 spots available or 1 spot available or full, so that people know that that date is no longer open. And then, of course, you want to put the link to the book that you're wanting them to share for you. And this is where people can grab your link, obviously, but they can also grab your cover and, any other information they want to share with their audience about what your story is, they can get from this link. All right, so we've made a post. It says we're looking for a newsletter swap for our reader magnet. It says our genre, how many subscribers we have, and then the dates that we have available to share, and then the link to our book. Now, I would normally, at this point, I would copy all of this so that I can paste it. So we're going to press post in this group, and then I would copy that whole message, and then I would just paste it into all of these other groups as well, so that I can post the same thing in all of those. I did recently just do that in all these other groups, so I'm not going to do that right now, but that's what I would do. And then at this point, it is now time to wait. Wait for people to comment on your post and to say, hey, I'll swap with you. And then you can set that up. But while we are waiting, I'm going to show you how I set up my spreadsheet for organizing my swap information. All right, so this is my newsletter swap spreadsheet. These are the categories that I like to have for organizing my swap information. So I have the author name who I'm swapping with. I have the book of mine that they are sharing with their audience. The date that they're sharing that with their audience. Now, some of these are blank because sometimes people just say like, I'll share it this week or something, and I don't write it down, or I forget to write it down. It's not the end of the world if you don't remember the date that they shared, but it can be helpful because let's say on April 13th, I realize that I'm all of a sudden selling like a bunch of books, and I'm like, what happened here? Like, why am I selling so many books all of a sudden today, more than usual? Well, then maybe I could come to my swap list and see, like, okay, right here on April 12th, this person, Lori Lewis, did a swap with me. So maybe her email went out to her audience, and they, for some reason, they really responded well to my book, and they are buying it a lot. It's possible. I can't tell necessarily for sure that that's where the sales are coming from, but it might be. So then I can keep note of that for the future, that apparently Lori Lewis's audience really responds well to my content. So maybe I should do more swaps with her in the future. So that's one reason why it's nice to know what date they're sharing your book. The next category I have is the book of theirs that I am sharing. So this is the link to their book, which is vitally important. You need to have the link, or else you can't, send your readers to it. You'll notice a couple of these say link to come. That is most likely because their books aren't out yet. So this date, I am sharing a swap with this person on June 3rd, and it's April 14th right now. So their book hasn't quite come out yet, but they're setting up swaps for it already. So in the next month or so, I'll probably get a message from this person at some point that says, here's the link to my book that you said you would share. So not a big deal if people don't have the link right away, as long as you get the link to them. Or if you don't have your link right away, that's okay too. If your book hasn't come out yet, but you know it's coming out in a month or so, you can set up swaps right now, as long as you make sure to get the link to the person before the book comes out, or before they're scheduled to share it, not before the book comes out. That wouldn't make sense. And then the next category I have is the date that I'm sharing their book with my audience. That's extremely important. You got to know when you're supposed to share. And then I like to have some kind of contact page for the person that I am sharing this book for. So for some people, they like to do that via email. I just do it through Facebook. So I have their Facebook information here, so I can contact them if need be. And then over here, I do have a category for PA/pen name, because sometimes the people who are setting up newsletter swaps are not the authors themselves, but their personal assistant. Or maybe it is the author, but the author also has a pen name. So sometimes I can get a little confused if this name over here in this column doesn't match the name that's on the link to the book. Sometimes I found that a couple times that threw me off. I would be sharing a link to the book, and then I'd go see, like, I'm supposed to be sharing a book for Lisa Swinton today, but this book says it's written by Carla Evans. So what happened there? And then I realized, oh, Lisa Swinton is Carla's PA, or Carla Evans is Lisa's pen name or something. So sometimes it can be nice to kind of make a note of that in this section over here so I don't get confused. So this is my first spreadsheet, and I do have a second spreadsheet. This is sufficient if this is all you want to do. You definitely don't need anything more complicated than this. But I like to have this second spreadsheet, which looks a little crazy at a glance, but don't get overwhelmed, okay? These are just links. You don't need to look too closely at those. But I like to have this second spreadsheet where I can see at a glance which days I have filled up. So I like to share 3 swaps per email. So each of these little sections of 3 represents 1 email. So I can look at a glance and see, okay, all of these days are booked. And then right here is the first available day I have for a swap, and that is May 20th. So if someone says they want to swap with me, then I will go in and look at this spreadsheet and say, okay, May 20th is my first open date, and I'll tell them I'll put you down for May 20th, and then I'll stick their link in right here. And then I'll go back to my other list where I will put their link there, and then I'll put in the rest of the data information that I need here. And I'll show you all of that in action in just a second. But another thing that I like about this list is that I have a section for content ideas. So if I have an idea for a newsletter, but maybe it's not time for me to write a newsletter right now, or maybe I already have my next newsletter planned, like this next date for next week, I already know what I'm sharing. But if I have an idea of something else I want to share, then I can come in and write that idea right here, so that I won't forget. So that by the time I'm going to write this newsletter, I'm not sitting down being like, what am I going to write about today? Like, I might already have something written down. Or if I know that, like, on May 13th or 12th or something, I have a book release coming out, then I can go in here and say, okay, well, on May 13th, I'm probably going to be, announcing book release. And then maybe the week after that, I will do like I'll show some of my reviews that have come in from the book and thank everybody for reading and reviewing it. And maybe the week before, I want to have, since my book's coming out that week, maybe I want to have like a sneak peek of the new book the week before. And so I can kind of plan out my content ahead of time. And then I usually just highlight the content part in yellow when I have written and scheduled or sent that email, so I know that it's done. So that is how I organize all of my newsletter data, and I'm going to show you a little bit of that in action right now. So let's go back to Facebook. So at this point, you've joined the Facebook swap groups, you've published or posted your comments that say, I'd like to do a swap and here's some information about my story. And now you're starting to get some comments coming in saying, I'd like to swap with you. Okay, so I'm going to show you what that looks like and how to navigate that. So, this comment, I have not put this person in my spreadsheet yet. I decided to save it so that I could show you in real time what I would do. So in this group, Clean and Sweet Newsletter Swaps, I posted this post about wanting swaps, and this lady said that she would like to swap with me. Come on, what the heck? Sorry, my mouse is not scrolling. So she said, I can share on June 6th. I'd love it if you could share my reader magnet whenever you have an opening. Now, that's what most people are going to say. Most people say just whenever you have an opening. But some people might say, I have a book coming out on this date. Could you share it sometime that week? And then you can tell them, well, I send out my newsletters on Mondays, so I can share it that Monday. Or, Friday or Saturday or whenever it is you want to send your newsletters. So the first thing I do when someone says they'd like to swap with me is I open up my spreadsheet. I look on this page and see when is the first open spot I have. It's right here, May 20th. So I tell her, perfect, I'll put you down for May 20th. Now I'm gonna open her link in a new tab, and I'm gonna open her Facebook page in a new tab. So I am going to copy this link. This is the link that I'm going to share with my my newsletter. And first I'm going to put it here. And then I'm going to pop over to my other spreadsheet and I'm going to put it here. Now, if it does this, well, first of all, I like to do it twice because then it becomes a clickable link. But if it scrolls over like that, you just have to format the cell and click this wrap text automatically thing, and then it'll shorten it for you. So that's where her link is, and then this is where I put the date that I'm sharing her book. So that's going to be May 20th. And then over here, she said she would share mine on, I don't remember what she said, June something? June 6th. Okay. So June 6th. And the book that she's sharing for me is called Meet You at the Peak. So I'm going to put that there. And her name is Jill Burrell. And then the only other thing I need to put in here is a link to some kind of way to contact her. So remember, I clicked on her page here and it brought up this page. So we're going to copy that and we're going to put it here. And then again, I like to do it twice because then it becomes clickable. And let me tell you something really quick about this link we just copied. So that link right there is a group link. You can see that all of these say facebook.com/groups. And that means it is her page that is associated with this group. It's not her profile. So if we click right here, we can go to her profile. And let me show you, if I had copied that link instead, let me show you why I don't do that, okay? So let's say, fast forward to May 20th or May 19th or 18th, whenever I'm writing my newsletter, let's say I get to this date and I look at here and I see that I don't have her link here. It's just blank, or it says link to come or something, and I'm like, oh no, why don't I have her link? I need to go contact her, right? Now, what if I had saved her just regular Facebook profile and I clicked on that, it would take me to this page, which is her profile. I could message her here, but I have no way of knowing from looking at this, like, what book is it that I said I would share for her, or where did I meet this person? What group was I talking to her in? I don't have any of that information. But if I click on her group profile instead of her main profile, then it takes me to this page, which says member of Clean and Sweet Newsletter Swaps. So now I know this is the group that I contacted this woman in. I can see that she has a post right here, and I can see that I have not commented on this post. So I'm like, okay, I didn't comment on her post. She must have commented on one of mine. So then I will go to Clean and Sweet Newsletter Swaps, and I'll look for my post. And if you can't find your post because it's old, you can search for it here and click see your group activity. So then I'll see, oh, okay, I have this post in this group. Did Jill comment on this post? Let me see. View comments, all comments. Ah, yes, here she is, Jill Burrell, and here is the link that for some reason I forgot to put in my spreadsheet. So if I use Jill's group profile, the one that says facebook.com/groups and then her user ID, if I use this page in my spreadsheet instead of this page that's just her regular profile, I have more information to work with. I know where I contacted her in, and I can kind of backtrack and find the posts where we communicated if I need to do that. So that's just a little tip, because I did have a situation once where there was an author who had two different profiles. She had like her personal profile, and then she had like an author page, and she was organizing swaps under both names. And so I was really having a hard time finding where I had contact with this person and what post it was that we had arranged our swap in. So then I started being more careful to get the group ID number instead of just the person's regular profile, so that I can find our original post if I need to, and I can remember which group it is that I contacted them from. So hopefully that made sense. I feel like it was a little confusing to explain that, but I mean, I'm not sure how I could have explained it more succinctly. So hopefully you understand the difference between a group profile and a regular profile, and why it's valuable to use the group one in your spreadsheet. So now let's fast forward and pretend that we have gotten a bunch more swaps besides just Jill, and we have something that looks a little bit like this, you know, a full spreadsheet of swaps. And now let's say this date right here is April 22nd. I've got 3 swaps for April 22nd. let's say that today was April 20th and I want to go and write my email and schedule it for that weekend of April 22nd. So we're going to go to our mailing service. I use MailerLite. This is where we're going to create our email. Now, I'm not going to show you how to create an email from scratch right now because that would take a while to explain, and that's kind of a topic for another video. So I use this template here. So I made an email from scratch and then I saved it as a template so that now when I go in to make a new email, I don't have to do it from scratch every time. So every time I come to MailerLite to make a new email, I find this template, I click duplicate, and then I use that as my starting point for my new email. So this is my what a typical email for me looks like. If I was making a new email right now, I would go ahead and change this title and edit this because this is an old email of mine. So I'd make that new and I'd think of something else to write to my subscribers. I also have a little section here where I like to tell them what I've been reading and watching and listening to, so I would fill in that information. And then this is my newsletter swap section of my email. So I say check out these sweet authors, and then I have 3 spots here for swaps. So since we're doing the April 22nd email, that's going to be these 3 people. So let's go ahead and click on all of these and open up their pages. Okay, so these 3 books, these 3 books right here are the books that I'm supposed to be adding to this April 22nd email. So the first thing I'm going to do is get the links prepared. So I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to click on this book here, or this product here. I'm going to change this link to the correct one, and I'm going to go down here and change this link to the correct one. And that will make it to where this picture up here, this is the image, and that will be a clickable link that will send them here. And then down here is editing the button, which is right here. It says read now, and that will also take them to the correct place. Then I'm going to go back to this page. I'm going to save this photo. Now, if you are on an Amazon product page, all you have to do is right click, save image, and it'll say save as type JPEG. Make sure that says JPEG. And as long as it says that, you are free to just save that image. Then you come back to your emails and you go up to where the picture is and you click edit image. And then you upload that image that you just saved and insert it. So now that author's picture or book cover is right here. Then we're going to change the rest of the content. So we're going to say the book is called The Sweetest Slice. And then down here, what I like to put, some people put like the entire blurb when they do a swap, but I like to just put a little tagline and then some kind of something that says something about the tropes in the book. So most books will have a tagline of some kind. This is a tagline. Her father is dying and her brother is half the man he was. This is no time for romance. It's kind of like just a little hooky short sentence. So that is what I will put here. And then down here I will put, well, let's go back here. So up here it says a sweet beach romance. So that's probably what I'm going to put right here. A sweet beach romance. Save. So that is one swap done. All I had to do was plug in the the links and the picture, the title, and then I put the tagline and, one of the tropes. Now, sometimes when people send you their page for their book, they don't have a tagline, or it takes a little bit more. I mean, this person had their trope like right here, but sometimes it takes a little reading for you to kind of like come up with something to say, or maybe you have to make up your own tagline for the story, or come find some sentence in here that like explains the story in a short way and use that. So sometimes it takes a little bit more searching through the blurb to find those things, but you can usually find something. So then we would do that same exact thing with this book here. We'd grab the picture, grab the title. I'd use this tagline. And then, this says a small town romance. And I know because of when I set up the swaps that this is a clean romance. Even if it doesn't say that in here, it does right here. But even if it doesn't, since I set up this swap in a clean and wholesome romance newsletter swap group, I know it's clean. So I could say a clean small town romance instead of just a small town romance if I want to. And then for this book, one thing I want to mention here is that sometimes people will give you a books to read link. This is because they have their book for sale on other places other than just Amazon. Now, you cannot grab this cover from this page. If you try save image as, you'll see that this does not say JPEG. It says all files. So that means it is not saving as a JPEG image. It's saving as some other kind of file. So you can't grab the book cover from here, but what you can do is you can click on Kindle and you can go to the Kindle page and you can get the cover from there. And this is also where you can grab, a headline or a tagline and some tropes. See, in this one, they don't have like a trope in the subtitle, so it might take me a minute. I might have to read this book a little, or read this blurb a little bit to see what is it about and what are the tropes about, and come up with it that way. This says it's a heart-pounding romantic suspense novel, so I would probably say something like that. But please make sure that you need to come to the Amazon product page in order to get the cover and the information. But when you put your links on here, you need to make sure you use this link, not the Amazon link, because this author wants you to use this link so that people can get their book on other places as well. So with these two books, we're going to do the same thing we just did with this one. We're just going to plug in all the information. So I'm not going to actually do that right now on camera because it's going to be exactly the same as what I just did with this. So I'll just save time and tell you, do everything you just did with that 2 more times. And then once those are correct and everything looks right, you're going to click this preview and test button and go to preview mode. Now I'm using MailerLite. Other mailing services are going to look different, but they're all going to have kind of similar functions, so you should be able to preview your email in some way. So what you want to do while you're previewing your email is you want to go and click on the links that you have made for these swaps. Now, I didn't do these ones, so we'll ignore that for now, but you want to click on the picture, make sure it takes you to the right page, and then you want to click on the button and make sure that takes you to the right page. And you want to double check that with your other 2 swaps also. And then once that's done, once the swaps are correct and you've filled out the rest of your email, you've made it how you want it to be, this is the preview of your email. You're going to click copy URL. And then you're going to close this and you can, say that you're done editing. You can send your email or schedule it to be sent whenever you want it to go out. And then the last step of this process is a courtesy message to the authors you swapped with to let them know that you have scheduled the swap. Okay? So we're going back to our spreadsheet. So these are the 3 dates for 422. So we're going to click on all of these authors. So we have all their pages open here. And all of these have a message button. So you're going to click message and you're going to tell this person, I'm not going to write it out right now because I don't want to accidentally send it to her, but you're going to say, hey, I just scheduled our swap for this weekend and here is a link to the preview if you want to check it out. And then you're going to copy that message and then you're going to send that same message to this person and to this person. And the preview link that you link to them is going to show them something like this. So they have a chance to look at the email that you scheduled to go out for that weekend. And they can come down and they can see your swap page and they can look, okay, this is my book. They can read it, make sure that you didn't mess something up. They can check the links, make sure that they go to the right place. And this is basically just a courtesy that people do to it. Sometimes people will post a thread and call it their accountability thread. And that's where they will tell people, I sent out our email that we promised I would send, and here's the preview. So it's just a way of keeping accountability to make sure that all the authors who you said, yeah, I'll send an email about your book to my subscribers, you want to make sure that they know that you actually did it, right? And that you didn't just tell them you were going to do it and then didn't ever do it. So that in particular is one thing that I did not know I was supposed to do early on. Not a lot of people had done that for me. Like I didn't see people doing that, and I didn't know the etiquette until I started getting other authors sending me links and saying, hey, I sent out our swap, here's the preview link. And the first time that happened to me, I was like, what is preview link? What are you talking about? And then I clicked on it and I was like, oh, okay, I guess they're just letting me know that they sent that email so that I know that they actually followed through. That's nice. And then it happened a few more times, and then I started to realize, oh, I think this is something that people expect you to do, and I have not been doing it. So I need to make sure that I do that so that other authors aren't thinking that I'm dropping the ball because I'm not sending them the preview link. So anyway, that's just another one of those reasons why I want to make videos like this, so that people who are new and starting out and who have never done newsletter swaps can know what is expected of you before you jump into this whole confusing world. And then really quick, I just wanted to show you guys what one of my emails looks like when it actually hits somebody's inbox. So this is the last email I sent out last week. I talked a little bit about what to expect with my books, if they are clean romance or Christian romance or something in between clean and spicy, and just the different terminology that we use as authors or as readers, and what people should expect from my stories. And then down here, this is where I put my newsletter swaps. So I swapped with 3 different authors that day, which means I shared these 3 authors in my newsletter, and all 3 of these authors are at some point going to share my book in their newsletter, or they already have. That's the arrangement that we have made with this swap. So I've shared these 3 people's books. I've got the titles here, taglines, and tropes, and then a button for them to, for readers to click on. And then, I have more to my emails too. I have the rest of my books down here so people can check those out as well. And I have a link to this cleanromancebooks.com website, and then some of my contact information. All right, so that is it. That is how you schedule newsletter swaps on Facebook, and how you can organize all of that information in a spreadsheet and keep track of everything, and a little bit about how you actually put it in your email. Of course, I didn't go through the technical aspect of how you make a nice, pretty looking email on MailerLite, because that's kind of a different subject. And I would like to talk about that at some point. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know in the comments. Because if everyone's commenting, yes, please tell me that, then maybe I'll do that video next. But for this video, I just wanted to show you what exactly a newsletter swap looks like in an email and what people are expecting you to share. If you say, I'll do a swap with you and I'll share your book with my newsletter, what does that mean? What do people expect you to show your audience? So that is what I do, and yeah, that's about it. And all of this, it took me, let's see, this video is an hour long before editing it. But all of this is stuff that takes a lot longer when you're first starting out, and then once you're kind of used to it, you have the process down, it really doesn't take very long to go set up some swaps. I mean, this morning I was like, oh, I don't have any newsletter swaps yet for May and June, so I should do that. And I just went and I opened up all my groups, wrote out a post, copied it, pasted it into all the groups, and waited a little while until people said, I'll swap with you. And then I said, cool, thanks, and gave them a date and then put their information in my spreadsheet. And then later, when I'm actually making the emails, I'll have all that information right there in my spreadsheet ready for me to plug in. So it might feel complicated at first, but it's very doable. It's not that hard, it's not that complicated, and it will get a lot faster as you continue down this road and get used to the whole process. That is it from me. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions or any other videos you'd like me to do on kind of these sort of like basics topics of writing and publishing. I've got a whole list of them on my phone that I want to do at some point, but I don't know how long it'll take me to actually get around to doing that. But anyway, that is it for me today, and I hope you have learned something, and have a nice rest of your day. See you guys next time. Bye.